Crash TwinSanity. I never played this game, you know. Well, duh, you already read the name of the video, so I didn't need to tell you that. They're first impressions for me, not for the thousands and thousands out there that played this back in its heyday. I have a memory of this game from 2004, which is the year that it was released. 14 years ago. That's a long time! But we're talking PS2 era days, so in console terms, maybe not that old. But anyway, I lived in California in 2004, and the neighbor across the street had the Xbox port of this game, and I remember watching him play just the beginning of it. I didn't even get to the totem boss as far as I remember. I got to watch the initial tutorial cutscenes in which Crash is chasing Cortex after he's E-shirt the hell out of Coco with his ray gun, and he took her clothes away to dress like her, so he got her naked without her consent. That's not cool, Cortex. You're lucky that the Me Too movement didn't exist back then, or you'd get got by the world. Anyway, as a toddler, I got to play the original Crash trilogy on PlayStation, as well as Crash Bash, which I still own. It's the very same copy that I had as a kid. I wish my copies of the trilogy had survived as well, but I have no memory of what happened to those. I don't need to go on about how amazing those games were and how they helped revolutionize the industry in the years in which everyone and their mother was trying to make a 3D game, because everyone knows that story by now, especially with the recent remake of the very same. So I loved the hell out of those games as a kid. I fully completed Crash 2 for the first time a year or two ago, but I never really sat down to play this one. Just never got the chance, never owned it, and didn't know anybody that owned it besides that kid I mentioned earlier. The Wrath of Cortex and Nitro Kart are the newest titles in the franchise that I had ever played. So a month or two ago comes Javier and he finally brings along his copy of TwinSanity, which he had been meaning to do for like 2 fucking years and finally did that time, after thinking he brought it the time before that, but it turned out that he had left his copy of Tenkaichi 2 in the game case like a dumbass. So he gave me the copy when he was here last time and said, "Here, you're finally gonna play this." And so I started playing it for the first time while he was here, after he started spewing on and on about how amazing the game is and how it might be his favorite game ever. He was here for a few days and then he went back home and I didn't touch the game again for like 2 months. And it wasn't until like 5 days ago that I finally picked it up again and decided that I'd play it consistently until I finished it. And so I did pick it up, that is, I haven't finished it. And everything was fine and dandy for the first, I don't know, 3 hours or so. The game starts off in an island, which is familiar territory for a Crash game, tropical settings and all. The humor of the game slaps you in the face immediately, which is always good because who doesn't like humor? From Crash's expressions to Cortex increasing the pitch of his voice to fool Crash into thinking that he's really Coco, to Cortex falling into pits and saying that they broke his fall, the game's certainly as funny as the back of the case suggests. Another thing that I noticed right off the bat is how good the game still looks today, in spite of today being the age of 4K resolutions and HD textures and gaming computers that run games at over 9,000 frames per second and set you back about as much money. All the colors are nice and vibrant. The trees are a luscious green, the mountains a nice brown, and the water, holy shit, I don't think the world actually has water that blue in real life. So the game looks lovely during gameplay is what I'm saying. The same can't be said during the cutscenes though, because the farther along you get into the game, you can clearly start seeing that the game really was rushed. When characters fall from good heights, there's no thud to remind you that they just went splat face first into the ground, or the ice, or whatever it may be in that particular scene. There's that one cutscene in which you fight the blue clock guy and the short bald dude, whose names I honestly can't remember because I haven't heard of or seen in years. I didn't even remember Engines. But anyway, in that scene with the two of them after you defeat Engine, the little dude with the screws in his head, who's also suddenly black in this game for whatever reason, drinks a potion to turn himself into a giant fucking frog or toad thing, and he starts writhing around and the game's completely silent. There's no sound effects, whatever. And then he jumps into the water and there's no sound effect there either. Oh, and the clock dude sounds bored when he's demanding that Crash tells him where the supposed treasure is. It seems that if it's not Cortex or one of the evil twins talking, it's really not worth listening to, because everybody sounds bored or like their soul was taken away. and Shang Tsung isn't in this game, so you can't blame it on him. So that's a shame. In execution though, the game's been fine so far, gameplay wise. It retains a lot of what made the original PlayStation title so good, but it pulls it all off in a more modern, open world setting. Reminds me of Jak and Daxter now that I think about it, though I don't remember if that game had as many mostly empty platforming sections as this game does. You run and you jump and you double jump and slide and break crates and try to avoid nitro crates. You jump on enemies or spin right into them to get rid of them like everyone knows by now. Aku Aku's there to try to help your ass, but he's actually a bit of a letdown in this game because he can't protect you from the explosive crates in this game like he did originally. So that's a bit of a bummer, because what's the point in getting 3 Aku Aku masks in a row if you're still vulnerable to bombs? It's bullshit, so that's definitely something I haven't liked so far. Something else that I like but also dislike at the same time are the controls. They're very tight and responsive, similar to the originals, but not exactly the same. They tweaked them a bit in this one. You have to have more precision in your movements and jumps in this game than you do in the past ones, or you end up falling off over and over, or accidentally walking into a green crate when you thought you were absolutely sure that you weren't gonna touch it. And then there's those platforms and surfaces which are way more slippery than they have the right to be. Trust me when I say that I lost a lot of good lives to those cocksuckers. Not nice. Not nice at all. Anyway, these are my first impressions of this game so far. My enjoyment for it seems to be decreasing the more I play it, and up to this point in it, I feel like it's safe for me to say that it's not as fun as the originals. And if Javier watches this one, he's probably gonna dislike me a bit more for thinking so. I'm gonna make a full review of this once I get through the whole game, and the plan is to get together with at least him to review it together off the cuff, podcast style. So keep an eye out for both of those videos. But until then, check out the Unlimited Bits podcast here on the channel, and follow the show in the places you currently see on your screen. Catch your ass later.